So I'll start and end with this. In whatever kind of training you're doing, you must first have a performance vision to get the most out of the training so that your training relates to your end goal. Okay, and so the reason I put the bulls up, and you don't need to take too much out, all the detail out of this, but the bulls had a mental model and a value system that was important to them. I think we all enjoyed the documentary recently. And you can just pick up a couple of things: bench the ego, one breath, one mind, and let each player discover his own destiny. That truly came through in everything that they do and how they get the best out of people like Rodman. That's a completely different kind of individual to Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen. Okay, so another one, the Golden State Warriors, completely different setup. Steve Kerr went in there and said joy was our number one value, compassion, mindfulness, but also it could seem a little bit soft, but then competition was important for them. The All Blacks, unbelievable. If you're a coach, I recommend read Legacy. It's unbelievable going through the 10 sort of values of the All Blacks. They're the most successful over a long period of time sports team in the history of sports, I think, that with their win percentage. It's crazy. And again, you can see some of the things that drive them. There are many more. Pete Carroll is one of my favorite coaches at the Seattle Seahawks. He actually influenced Steve Kerr that went to the Golden State Warriors. They talk about being a relationship-based organization, being dynamic and loose. So when I got to San Diego Legion, it was a very rare opportunity because we were going into a new professional sports league. So we had the opportunity to build it in our own image in any kind of way we wanted. And I'll tell you, we got it wrong in the first 2 years. We did not have the end goal in mind. We didn't have our values set up, and we didn't tap into the individual potential of our individual players. So we learned our lessons, and then coming into the third year, what we did before we did anything with the team, we dug into the individual unconscious drivers of each player. And actually, we went through that process with Jason. It was an amazing process, and what we showed the player was we care about what's important to you, and what's important to we as a team is going to be what's important to me, because we're going to show you where we're going to fill in what's important to you to the team. So then we set up so individual value clarification was very important to us. And then this is our team value clarification. So we do need a team reference for what's important to us. But the key when you come up with this, and you come up with a design and imagery and logos are very important as well, is that we wanted to build our house. Every day that we come in, we build our house, and this is how we're going to do it. And the key thing for us now is to define each area. So we don't just put that up, but we define it. So the foundation of everything we do is discipline equals success. And to define discipline equals doing what you say you will do. So you've made a commitment to the team, and that's all it is. Very simple. Success defined just means doing more of what you love. And we all love playing sports. We all love competing. We all love being with the people around us. So if we have the discipline, we get to do more of what we love. It's pretty simple. Now, this is where the key to the whole building your house comes in. Because we've done the individual work with the players, we're not just like putting 5 words up and saying, this is our values, you've got to follow them, because they might not chime with each player. So we know, having gone through this process with everyone, that there's certain skills that each person's bringing. So for instance, Jay, being ruthless might be important to Jay, but being vulnerable might be important to Peter. Okay, so we're giving you room here to bring those traits, those skills to the team environment. So one will be under the banner of compete. There'll be all the hard skills. So determination, consistency, discipline, that will come under compete. Then contribute, that's going to be all your softer skills: patience, trust, poise, communication. And we need both of them to build our house. When we get that right, we have our foundation, we bring the hard skills, the soft skills, we can put the roof on top, and that is to connect. And there's very many different variations of connect in terms of the definition. You see the yin and yang in the roof, because we're bringing the hard, we're bringing the soft. And the connection now, the important thing to understand about that is connection can mean to your values. So why is what we're doing as a team important to your values as a person? You can connect what we're doing to your family. We can connect what we're doing to the fans. We can connect what we're doing to the legacy. We can connect our mind to our heart, to our breath. And most importantly, in this conversation, we need to connect to our mental skill development. If we're going to be successful, we know that we're going to need that connection to our development on that side. And then once we've got the end goal in mind, we can understand how we want to build each soldier. And so we talked about putting on our armor every day. And again, so you define what is our armor. So very simple things like making your bed in the morning. And you might have heard this, I remember back in the day when Great Britain were building their Olympic program. They're doing very well now. We were terrible. Like 12 years ago, we were a shambles. And the Tsar came in, he said, you've all got to make your bed the first thing in the morning. And people in England, what? They were laughing at it. What are you talking about? How does that help performance? But if you relate it back to the bigger picture, we're saying help making your bed does actually make you a better performer. Firstly, you're doing something positive the first thing in the morning. And secondly, if you have a bad day, at least you come home to a made bed. It's going to make you a better person, player, if it's related to a bigger picture. If it's not related to a bigger picture, it doesn't make any difference. Part of building your armor might be praying or meditating or setting your intention, whatever that is for you. Your nutrition, obviously, saying good morning to everyone in your group. Every time you come into your group, you shake hands with your colleagues, you look them in the eye, and you send your positive vibes. If there's someone new come into your group, you make them feel welcome. You shake them by the hand. Early bird is part of putting on your armor, getting there early and being prepared. Mopping up, so you look after your environment, you clean up after yourself, very important. Sharpening your sword will be working on your technical and your tactical and your physical skills. And again, here, this is where it's important for us. Doing your mental skill development is part of putting on your armor every day and every week. How can you expect to be a soldier going into battle if you haven't worked on your mind? So how do we systematically make that happen? That's where Headset is so fantastic, because it's basically automated for you. And then we say that, put it into context, there's just the small amount of group of people in our room, and people haven't got a clue what we're doing in this room. They haven't got a clue what we're going to grow to, what we're going to become. But when we become an army, because we've all been sharpening our swords and we've all been relating it back to the bigger picture, and our values will drive our behavior. And that's up to the people in our room. If we stay connected to our values, our mission, our mental skills development, we're going to achieve something great. So, and then we related it, again, imagery is very important to us. We then studied, what is a legion? That was obviously our name. A legion is a Roman army comprised of 6,000 to 7,000 people. And then we realized that our home stadium held 7,000 people. So our mission was, we're going to create an army of soldiers. Everyone there is going to be a Legion soldier touched by what we do. And we did that in the end in the national final. So we created not only ourselves, but a bigger Legion of 6,000, 7,000 at the final. And it doesn't stop there, because we don't put any limits on ourselves. That we said, we're going to then go to, this is like the Colosseum, but we're going to go to stadiums of 60, 70,000. We're going to set a massive picture of what we're going to achieve, even though rugby isn't there yet. But that's what we're working towards. And aligning to that, again, gets a bigger emotional attachment to the hard work that we're going to do. And then there's other, I won't spend too much on this, but there's other little things we do. One of our players was the first professional sportsman coming out of his village in Fiji. So this was actually a video. We sent a load of Legion shirts back to the village. They were so proud of what he'd achieved. It was a huge thing for them. And then all of a sudden, we show a video of the village back in Fiji, everyone wearing the Legion shirt and showing their support for our player. He's actually on the picture there, Save Totazaval, young fella coming away for the first time into a new country, a new environment. So that was a leveler in the room, because, and we did that for a lot of different people around the world. It was really, it was awesome for us. And then, again, creating a greater emotional attachment, we put our values into a pledge card that the guys carried around, and aligns them to the purpose of what we're doing. So just some ideas, of how to create a greater emotional attachment by tapping into the individual values of each player. Now, why is this important to what we're talking about today? Well, for me, it's how we interact with the tools available to us that really promotes success. So the biggest point for me to get across is the human brain doesn't learn by consuming information. It learns by creating information. So we need to engage the players in the process. So every step that I've described there, we've involved the players rather than just kind of talking at them and giving instructions. We don't learn through consumption, we learn through creation. So how are we going to get the players participating? Well, with Headset Sport, they've got a voice. They are reporting on what they're feeling emotionally and mentally, and then they're getting tools to work on it. But for me, the biggest jump comes from then us engaging in that information. So here's some ideas, some just quick ideas about how you can use the headset information to build your group environment. So a simple one for me is split your team into groups of 4. 4 is a great number because everyone kind of has to have a voice. You can't really, if there's more than that, you can kind of hide away. If there's less than that, maybe one person just sort of takes over, but 4, everyone has a voice. So split them into groups and they might report back on the pillars. So we have awareness, confidence, stress management, motivation, and resilience. They can do some mental workouts of the weeks based on those headings. They will all do different and individual work and different answers because they're making their own notes, but now they'll collaborate in their team of 4 and they might come up with things that are important to them that relate to back to the team. Now they can present in front of the whole team, lads or ladies, in terms of resilience, we think these steps are going to be specifically important for this team based on what we're trying to achieve. Okay, so you're getting quite a lot out of the information that relates back to you as a team. Another way of doing it is stories. Stories are great. Get your players telling stories. Everyone wants to have a voice. Everyone wants to express themselves. And you'll see, when people are suppressed, it often ends, in different situations in violence if you're suppressed for long enough. So give people a voice. So what we also did was we had our house and we had our values, but we threw it back at the players at a certain time in the year. So into the second half of the year when we're very comfortable and confident in what we're doing. And we said, right, you guys pick 5 players and we want to get them to tell stories that relate back to our values. So it happened to be Jasavera Malua, who was a Fiji Olympic gold medalist, was one of them. And the story that he told related to the success of Fiji, and it was all about humility and being humble. And so we related that back to our soft skills of contributing. Another player from New Zealand had won the New Zealand competition, and he spoke about how his team, ruthless was a huge thing for them. So all of a sudden now, ruthless, because they had told the story. Let me tell you, if Jasavera Malua, a Fiji gold medalist, stands up in front of you and starts telling this story about humble, everyone's on the edge of their seats going, this is amazing, these experiences that he's talking about. And so for the next few weeks, the talk amongst the players that were driving it, for compete, they were talking about being ruthless. For contribute, they were talking about humility. And they started owning it. So there is flexibility in that. But now with Headset, another opportunity is you can get the players telling stories about awareness, confidence, stress management, and they can decide what's important to the group at that moment. But use the experiences of the players in your group because the other players want to follow that. So again, this is where you can harness the experience of the work that people have done on Headset and get them to tell stories about it that bring it to life. Another opportunity is one of the favorite features on Headset is that there's a video library, and there's mental work from like Messi and Deontay Wilder, or pick your sportsman. And the players love to look at that video library, but you can also create your own video library. So record when players are presenting, record it all because there's so much power in it. And you may have a legacy piece. So you may use something in 3 years from a player that's moved on from your program, but had a huge impact. There's other things. You get your players to go and interview ex-players from your program. So players that retired 10 years ago or came through your program and went on to do amazing things in life. How did rugby, in our case, or the sport play into your success? You could get your players to go and interview fans and say, what does your franchise or sports team, what does that mean to the fans or to the parents or whoever it may be? And how does that affect our mental approach? So again, everything we're doing is tightening that connection, which is our number one value, was our number one value. And then another piece is to explore the correlation between the psychological characteristics and moments of the game. So this is really important. Peter made or Jason made a great point rather earlier about swimming is different if you're a long distance swimmer or a short distance swimmer. So it's the same in rugby. There's some teams that play a hard-nosed, like in football, like smash mouth, up the middle game. Others that play very expansive, wide movement game. So the mental approach that they need may be different. So resilience may relate to a goal line stand, a defensive stand. Confidence may relate to moments in the game where something's gone wrong, or motivation when you've lost a few games in a row. But now there's that awareness that you can work on that and relate it. And the biggest improvement we had is during the week, everyone assesses how they trained, in terms of their technical, tactical, physical. But now you can also go into a training session thinking, I'm working on my resilience this week. And are there moments in the training session where I could have used that resilience? And you assess afterwards. Now, when you come to the weekend and you know you're going to come under pressure, you've actually worked on your resilience specifically in those moments of the training session. So you actually feel stronger going into the weekend.